Welcome to the Global WarWatch Network. Okay, so get this. In the high-stakes world of military hardware, a new power has just quietly overtaken both the United States and China to become the world's #1 drone exporter. And that country is Turkey. What's happening here is, well, it's changing the face of modern warfare forever. So let's break it down. So you gotta meet the star of this whole story, the Bayraktar TB2. I mean, after its absolutely stunning performance in places like Nagorno-Karabakh and, of course, the early days of the war in Ukraine, well, people started using some pretty heavy words to describe it. It basically became the celebrity of modern warfare, a symbol of a whole new way to fight. Right, so with all that hype, you'd probably think it has to be the best, wouldn't you? I mean, you see the headlines, you see the footage of its effectiveness, and it's so easy to assume this thing is packed with the most advanced, top-of-the-line tech on the entire planet. But is it? Is that really the story here? Well, here's the twist. The answer is a pretty clear no. Actually, if you look at almost any technical spec, we're talking speed, payload, even range, the TB2 is, well, it's kind of average. And that right there, that's the crucial point. Its real superpower isn't its performance. It's something else entirely. Okay, so if it's not the best, how in the world is it winning? Let's unpack what makes this supposedly average drone so incredibly deadly on today's battlefield. All right, let's talk numbers for a second. The TB2 is what the military calls a mail drone. And no, not that kind of mail. It stands for medium altitude long endurance. We're talking a cruise speed of about 130 kilometers per hour, a range that's pretty much limited to about 150 kilometers from its control station, and it can carry less than 100 kilograms. Now, in the grand scheme of military drones, trust me, these are not record-breaking stats. It's a capable system for sure, but it's got some real limitations. And this is where we see its real genius. The price tag. A single TB2 goes for about $5 million. Now, compare that to the top-of-the-line American MQ-9 Reaper. That'll set you back around $20 million. You can literally get 4 TB2s for the price of 1 Reaper. But it's not just about the drone itself. See, that smaller payload? It's perfectly matched with a whole ecosystem of specialized, super lightweight smart munitions made by the Turkish company Roketsan. And that's the magic formula. It makes the whole system affordable, accessible, and, this is critical, totally replaceable if you lose one. Now, I mentioned that term MEL drone earlier. Just to be clear, that's medium altitude long endurance. Basically, it's a class of drone that's built to just hang out in the sky for a long, long time, often 24 hours or even more. It flies high enough to be good for spying and striking, but not so high that it needs some crazy, expensive advanced engine. It's the perfect operational sweet spot, and that's exactly where the TB2 lives and breathes. But look, the TB2's success story isn't just about some clever engineering. Not at all. It's actually the result of a very deliberate long-term national strategy. And this is where things get really interesting, because we start to see the rise of something people are calling drone diplomacy. And yeah, this did not happen overnight. We're talking about the result of a 50-year journey towards defense independence. It really all kicked off way back in 1974 with a U.S. arms embargo that basically forced Turkey's hand to start building its own stuff. Then, fast forward to 2004, a huge turning point. The government starts pouring money into private companies. By 2014, the TB2 takes its first solo flight, and by the 2020s, well, it's a global phenomenon. And the results of that long-term strategy? They are absolutely undeniable. Just take a look at this chart. You can see Turkey's arms exports have just skyrocketed over the past couple of decades. That incredibly steep curve you're seeing, a huge part of that is driven by the insane global demand for these combat-proven drones. Okay, now this part is fascinating. While those exports were going through the roof, look what was happening to their imports of key parts, things like engines and high-tech sensors. This chart shows a massive drop right after 2019. So what does that tell us? It tells us Turkey isn't just selling more stuff. It's becoming way more self-reliant. They're making the critical tech themselves that they used to have to buy from other countries. And all of this success, it's become an incredibly powerful tool for foreign policy. This is what experts are calling drone diplomacy. And it's exactly what it sounds like, using drone sales and military partnerships to build alliances, to project influence, and to get what you want on the world stage. It's about so much more than just selling hardware. It's about gaining real political leverage. And the sheer scale of this drone diplomacy is, well, it's just staggering. I mean, take a look at this map. We're seeing customers from NATO allies in Europe to partners across the Middle East, Central Asia, and a huge, growing list of nations in Africa. The footprint of Turkey's drone empire is expanding at an incredible speed, and it's literally redrawing geopolitical maps as it goes. Okay, but this kind of rapid expansion, it doesn't come without a price. Spreading this kind of potent military tech all over the globe comes with some pretty significant risks. And, as you can imagine, a lot of serious criticism. So that brings us to the really crucial question, right? What actually happens when it becomes cheaper and easier than ever before for pretty much any nation to use lethal air power? What are the real-world consequences of this drone boom? Well, the risks are pretty huge. For one thing, when it's cheaper, it can make the decision to use military force a lot easier for governments, which could easily escalate conflicts. Then there are the massive humanitarian concerns, the very real danger to civilians from mistakes or errant strikes. And of course, if you're selling to just about anyone, you risk damaging your own reputation, especially if those drones end up being used in ways that might break international law. And this leads us to maybe the sharpest criticism of Turkey's whole strategy. Some analysts have basically called it a no questions asked policy. The big worry here is that Ankara is selling these incredibly powerful weapons with very few, if any, strings attached about how they can be used. And that, as you can imagine, creates all sorts of ethical and strategic problems down the line. So when you put it all together, what does this really mean for the future of war? The rise of Turkey's drone empire. It's not just a story about one country or one really effective weapon. It's about a fundamental shift in the entire global power dynamic. Here's the bottom line. Having advanced, effective air power isn't something that's just for a handful of global superpowers anymore. That era is over. Potent, combat-tested military tech is becoming available to way more countries, and it's giving a whole new tier of nations the ability to project power in ways that, frankly, were unimaginable just a decade or two ago. And that leaves us with a really big final question to think about. As effective, cheap drones like the TB2 become just common, are we walking into a totally new age of warfare? An age where pretty much any middle power can step in and completely reshape a conflict? And if so, what on earth does that mean for global stability? Thank you so much for your time. What do you think about the rise of this drone diplomacy? Is it a good thing, a bad thing? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you found this breakdown valuable, we'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, share it with someone who'd be interested, and of course, subscribe to Global WarWatch Network for more explainers on the changing face of conflict. You can also join the conversation on our social media channels. All the links for that are right down in the description. Thanks for watching.